All right. Let's get this started. What's up, guys? It's Ballatw here, not Keith Allen Hinson, the guy you might be used to hearing his voice, the wonderful voice of ProGuides. I'm Ballatw. I'm a Fortnite competitive caster / analyst. I cast at the World Cup. I cast at all sorts of competitive Fortnite events. And today I got the opportunity, thanks to ProGuides, to come and give a little class. We're going to talk about early game today and all that goes with that in a competitive Fortnite match. Not necessarily, I'm going to be a little bit more tuned towards the competitive Fortnite aspect, playing a Cash Cup, playing FNCS, something like that. But basically, we're going to talk about early game and all that goes with it. If you're interested a little bit more about me, again, I'm a competitive Fortnite caster. I do things like commentate at the World Cup, commentate Pro-Ams, commentate DreamHack. You might have seen some of my streams or seen me on the Fortnite stream itself. I've been there, and I do also a bunch of analytical and educational contents, such as my VOD reviews. That's where you could actually go check those out on my channel. I go over pro games and analyze and try to find out things that we can do as players ourselves to get better at the game. So today we're going to talk about early game. And for the most part, like everything that goes with early game. So that's why I titled this class Mastering Your Early Game. But we're going to have a focus on solos and also a focus on competitive, right? So we're going to talk about competitive settings. We're going to talk about things that you can do and things that you're trying to avoid. So playing the format, all those different things. Picking a drop spot. That's something that you guys always have questions about. And I'm also going to ask you guys, this is going to be a little interactive. I want you guys to ask questions. I want you guys to, to figure things out. And also we're going to, at the end of the lesson, at the end of the class, you'll get a chance to hop into a couple early game simulations, which we'll do together. I'll be in there. We'll be playing it against each other. And we'll go from there. Sound good? Sound good, chat? This is also my first YouTube stream. So it's kind of scuffed how I have it set up. My chat's over here. So if I'm looking over here, I'm looking at chat. And I see a bunch of people spamming, bunch of crunch. Yes, I don't know what bunch of crunch is, but I'm sure that's a ProGuides thing. I know you guys have had classes with that Denver guy, and obviously Keith Allen Hinson, the motivational guy, is literally so good at all the ProGuides videos that they do. Everything that they do is awesome and very, very useful. So let's get into the class, right? Let's get into the class. I want to talk about planning a drop spot, actually dropping at the spot, executing a spot, fighting at a spot, and then actually also having options, right? So let's get into that. How do you actually plan a drop spot? How do you figure out where you want to drop? I'm going to use a tool here that is called lootlake.info, where you could do just that. So this is lootlake.info, and it basically has all the chest drop spawns. It has all of the POIs. It has all the fishing holes. It has all the ammo boxes. And from there, you could really do a lot of things. I'm actually going to open up real quick my pen tool that I forgot to do before this. Here it is. And so I want to basically pick a drop spot. What are we going to do? We're going to use a tool like this. We're going to use the map. We're going to use our knowledge. And we're going to figure out what style of drop I want to go to. And then we're going to also plan a path through that, and then we're going to practice it, okay? You got to go through all those 3 different steps, practicing it specifically as well, right? So we'll start with the play styles first, because there's a lot of drop spots. This map is very big. Look at all the different chests on here. This map is very, very, very big. So play style goes into it very much, right? And we're also going to talk about the format. And what tournament are you playing? Are you playing Cash Cup? Are you playing DreamHack? Are you playing stacked games, right? That's very important too. So if you're very aggressive, let's turn off the chest and stuff for now. And just look at just the map, okay? There's some spots, the Grotto, the Agency, Sweaty Sands, Slurpy Swamps. Why? Because they have a lot of chests in a short and small amount of space. They have a lot of chests. They have a lot of loot potential is the term I'm going to use a lot. The loot potential at certain spots is really high. Like Grotto has 25 chests just in this small area, right? In between this and everywhere else, it has a lot of chests. 25. Another spot, Misty Meadows, look at that. Just Misty itself. so many chests, 28 plus 31 basically. That's probably the spot with the most chest potential out of the entire game right now. Agency has 25. Then there's Sweaty with a lot as well. Shark. And then there's other things too, like the mythic items are very impactful here. So this season specifically, you have that extra aspect to also think about, right? So loot potential, drum gun, mythic minigun. Are these items that you need as a player or that you will benefit from greatly? You think about people like Typhoon Scoped, right? These guys getting not only the heavy snipers out of the grotto that drop at the special chest from the agency, the shadow, and also the mythic minigun in Scope's hands, if you guys are familiar with them. Scope's hands, this guy does not miss a shot with that thing, and they can also pressure and take high ground a lot. Another team like Booga and Stretch, who land agency, don't necessarily want the minigun. Why? Because they're not a team that pushes for high ground a lot. They don't need that extra take. What they would rather have is the stuff that they could use to frag out on mid ground, which is where they operate. Right? Sometimes they take high, but it's obviously dependent on the game. But that just kind of goes the play styles. Bizzle, we'll get more towards solos. Bizzle lands at this spot. 5 chests, nothing much. But it does have at least heavy snipe potential or sniper potential in general. And then it's also very much centered. And Bizzle is a very placement-oriented guy. You will never see him out of the entire competitive Fortnite history landing outside of the center. Because that's his playstyle. That is his playstyle. You will never see him go anywhere else. He plays very passive. He plays very slow. He plays very controlled, but he wins games. So you don't necessarily need, that's just an example, more than this small loot route that he plays. Nanolite got 3rd at DreamHack by dropping at a small little spot with 5 chests and potential for not even that much more. And you guys saw the video that ProGuides did on Nanolite's loot path, right? He landed at literally the bridge. Very safe, very central. And that gives you room to do other things. Okay, so you got to balance it out. What type of player are you? Are you an aggressive guy? Do you need Lazy Lake? Do you need all of this chest to really operate and to fight? So ask yourself that question. Okay? And then once you do that, once you analyze who you are, once you analyze what you want going into an endgame, that's basically the question, right? It's what do I want going into an endgame? Everybody wants the best loot, but what do I need is a bigger question. Bizzle, he'll win a game with a white tack and a couple of fish. You know, you guys saw the video that he did, which was literally him winning games without any weapons whatsoever. So he'll win and operate with a single weapon that's not even that good and a little bit of fish, okay? So figure out what style of player you are, and then you can pick spots based on that, right? I'm going to say Slurpee is a very aggressive spot, a spot that you need to be very good at, especially when you think about what tournament you're playing. In a Cash Cup, Slurpee is going to be ridiculous. It's going to be always contested. There's going to be a lot of different people here. Sorry, I'm trying to get rid of my tool real quick so I can check my Discord real quick. It's always going to have a lot of people in a Cash Cup, no matter what, just because of unknown army and a bunch of different people going there having success. They're going to go over here and, you know, they'll also have success too, because not every game are you going to run into unknown army WKing you. So aggressive spots, maybe Slurpee, maybe Lazy Lake. I definitely think Agency and the Grotto are pretty aggressive spots, just because those are some of the best spots in the game. Shark, also pretty aggressive, but a little bit more low key, especially when you get towards customs, right? What else? More passive spots. I'd say Sweaty is a very good spot, and you need to be very good, but you're not always going to be fighting 30 people like you would possibly at Slurpee. And it also depends on the bus route in certain cases, right? So if you're playing a Cash Cup and you're prepping for a Cash Cup and you ask yourself, what style of player am I? I'm pretty aggressive. Sweaty, Slurpee, those styles of places. Let's talk about when you're not so aggressive, okay? When you want, let's say you ask the question, what setup do I want? I want some fish. I want good weapons, all right? We're going to look maybe some outskirts. Maybe something like landing at a single chest spot like this one and then going down, grabbing a couple chests or possibly going in this direction. and grabbing a couple chests, but also grabbing a fishing rod and getting all the fishing holes that are here. See how many there are? Right, some decent weaponry possible. You could even look into Slurpee and grab something else. Other passive spots that we've seen people play. Over here, this commonly known as Xarth Hill. Xarth, one of the players who won the Duo FNCS recently. He lands sometimes 2 chests, goes down. Right now he's landing sweaty, so that's a different story, but I was just referring to this hill because of passive play. And then also people build off of the deceased Slurp. This truck is no longer there, but people build off of Slurp truck. I believe there's still one down here. If I turn on Slurp, or is there a Slurp truck thing? No, not on this side. But there is a Slurp truck right here. And so people build off of that. They land at this spot with Meowsicles. It's very, very passive. In some cases, you could get 50-50, but we'll get to that. Okay, we'll get to actually winning your drops. We're just basically figuring out how to plan your spot. And what also goes into planning, now that we've basically figured out the play styles, there's other things too before we move on, right? You could want fish, you could want good loot. But also, if you're aggressive, but you don't want to necessarily have to deal with 50-50s and a lot of different people, you could do a spot like Benji Fishy does, where in his cash cups, I'm not sure what he's doing these days, but when he was on his tear back in season 1, towards the end of season 1, cash cups, and he's still obviously dominating, but back when he was on his tear, he would land Lazy Lake here or here, depending on how many people were landing with him. But then he would play very aggressively on people outside or also into Lazy. And specifically people who might be rotating out of a couple houses on retail and trying to get elsewhere, right? Trying to get over towards the Slurp truck up here or whatever. Like he would play aggressively on these people because they have decent loot potential. Benji, wherever he lands, he has decent loot potential too, but he's aggressive. He just doesn't want to deal with the 50-50s. So he ends up pushing somebody who could have good loot for him to get a little bit more from, okay? What else in terms of planning? What else in terms of planning, guys? I think that when we get to, when we talk a little bit about the differences in tournament plays, right? You're going to see, I don't know if there's a, nah, we don't have the loot paths that Speedy did. There's sometimes you look at a replay, okay? Let me turn everything off again. You look at a replay and you look at the distribution of people in a cash cup where it's open, where there's a lot more variance in where people are dropping. You're going to see way more congestion at these spots, at the POIs, right? Way more congestion. And then this, for example, is going to be completely open. This loot path can be completely open. Bizzle loot path can be completely open. Frenzy Farm, maybe 1 or 2 teams, 1 or 2 players. This going to be open. This going to be mostly open. That's just how it goes in open stages, right? Where it's random. You don't know who you're queuing against. Sometimes you'll end up with 2 people there, and that's the danger of doing it in open stages. But when you actually get towards these especially now that we have the 2 cash cup rounds, where 1 round of the cash cup is open and then top 100 will play in the next one. These games, you're going to have people all over the place. You're going to have one person here. You're going to have one person here. You're going to have one person here. Like literally, because everybody knows how impactful getting something uncontested is and not fighting. You might have 2 people present that will split off eventually. Okay? That's the thing. Once you get higher and higher in the skill gap, once you get higher and higher in the tournament stages, you're going to want to not fight as much. You're not going to want to expose yourself to risk in those cases. That risk is massive when you're in the DreamHack custom. That's why Nanolite did go for this low-key spot throughout the entirety of DreamHack. He did not want to fight a single time, right? So the power of his spot might be less, but also a lot less risk. So let's get into dropping itself. Let's get into the actual act of dropping, and doing that, I'll basically give an example in game, and talk about dropping for the best spots. And I'm going to use Pleasant Park, I think. I'm going to use Pleasant as a, no, actually we'll use Sweaty. We'll use Sweaty as an example. So let's hop in a game. If I can. Yes, we're in game. Cool. we'll hop in the game and give kind of an example and also talk about just mechanics on dropping itself. And I'm not the best dropping at sweaty, but I want to talk basically about the power positions and what you want to be aiming for. So obviously you guys should know, but if you don't, dropping, you want to basically know how to drop if the bus is coming from if you land sweaty and your goal is to land the hotel, right? You want to know how to drop everywhere the bus can come. So draw a circle around sweaty sands and learn the best spot to look straight down for your drop is. And I'll give you another example of that in a second. But basically, this is the best spot in sweaty. Why? It's the same reason why Tfue will 50-50 the zip line every time. Not 50-50, but be so good at it. Because you get the highest spot, you get to see everybody that lands, you get to figure out where they're going and make your plan based on that. And you can also get chip damage because you're going to get a gun first. Okay, so that's the reason why you would want the highest drop spot, or you want to go for a high drop spot. This is what I call a position of power. This is a spot where you can dominate an entire POI from, and from there, be able to move and work your opponents in certain ways, or also say, okay, you guys are far, it's time to disengage, right? All right, some other things in terms of dropping itself. I don't want you guys, just because this is the best drop spot on sweaty sands, right? Just because this is the highest spot, and I'm saying, yes, you should go for this. If you can control it, you should. But I don't want you guys to 50-50. I don't want you guys, 3 people all landing. There's 1 tack and an SMG. I don't want you guys to do that. If that happens, the best course of action is either to peel off if there's nobody else in the distance. It's either to peel off if there's nobody else going in different spots. Because like this building's not bad. If everybody lands on top of this, they all 50-50 each other, and you go over here, get some weapons, and then you continue to go back there, your loot potential is actually going to be higher than this team. And also, they're going to be focused on fighting each other. But if that's not an option, if there's other people over there, if you're in a really, really bad hot drop scenario, your option is also to land lower, right? You don't necessarily always, I think it's a rule of thumb to never, ever 50-50. The good thing about that is that having good drop mechanics and learning what I said basically earlier, drawing a circle around the spot and learning how to land specifically is going to give you access to not lose those 50-50s, to get the gun first and dominate whoever is up here. Tfue will always win his 50-50s. It's just a fact. You never want to try to 50-50 Tfue because his drop mechanics are so good. Chap is another player like that. All right. I think I'm gonna do 1 drop mechanic. So I'm gonna leave the match real quick and we're gonna go do another drop real quick. Just so I can explain. Does Battle Lab? I'm not sure if I'm gonna hop into Battle Lab to show you guys that or not. But regardless, we're gonna basically load into another game. Any questions so far? What about landing late canoe and rotating grotto? Some people have done that. Some people have done that. And like I talked about with Benji, right? Benji is somebody who will land somewhere else and push a certain spot. You remember Xarth back when he was in the Winter Royale form. This guy would literally land Viking Hill and then push soccer. Just because there's loot potential that he could take advantage in. He also will have an advantage. The thing about pushing into grotto is that oftentimes the people who are in grotto are going to have a massive advantage over you in terms of loot, right? They're most likely to have heavy snipers. They're most likely to have upgraded pumps or upgraded ARs over you if you land late canoe, if that makes sense. So like landing somewhere and then pushing a spot with bigger potential is more of a risk. The only time in the history of Fortnite that I would like think that that's kind of good was actually when Retail Row had all the zombies, if you remember that, because you would basically go somewhere else and then push into retail, but you would go somewhere else that had a lot of loot and then go into retail to just get way more upgrade, and you didn't actually have to fight, was the thing. Whereas if you push into grotto, good chances that you might have to fight. And then the other thing too about pushing into grotto is that you won't have the key. You won't have Brutus to work with. All right, so I'm gonna hop into Battle Lab. And I'm gonna basically talk about landing specifically. And I know we're landing. And the thing about using Battle Lab for this is that I'm just using it so I can give a couple examples quickly. All right, so we're gonna land Misty Meadows, and I'm gonna act like I'm coming off the bus. The thing about Battle Lab is that you land way lower, but I just wanted to show you guys a couple of quick ones, okay? So I'm gonna act like the bus is landing in this direction, right? And so that means that from the north side is where Misty is gonna come. So what I would do if I came off the bus in that direction, landing Misty, and my house that I land at Misty would be something like this, right? I'd want to land on the floor right behind that house. I practice this. So I already know that I'm just going to get past the waterfall and then go down. And this isn't going to work because it's Battle Lab. But basically you want to get to a spot that is below elevation, right? There's this mountain line. Where if you drop over it, your chute is going to pull way earlier than you really want. So you're going to be way too high. So come past the mountain line where the lowest elevation point is, like right around past the waterfall, basically when you see water, and then go straight down. In Battle Lab, I'll go way farther down, but my chute would pull around here. Normally, maybe slightly higher, definitely slightly higher, and I'd get a good drop that way. So what I would do to practice that, I would play every game, just pay attention, okay? Pay attention to who lands and what spots they are, because again, like, not using Misty anymore as an example. I didn't actually need to drop a couple times. Or can I? Yeah. We'll fly again just because it's a little easier to talk about in that direction. But what I would do is every game, I would take note of how people are dropping near me. This could be pubs. This does not have to be tournament. I think by the time tournament comes, you should be landing at a spot that you already have good drop mechanics for, right? I would not recommend dropping, for example, switching spots, going to sweaty for your first time in a tournament without knowing exactly how to drop and seeing a lot of different spots. So pubs are actually kind of useful for that, because even though pub players might not necessarily be the best, right? They might not always have the best drop mechanics. You can get a sense, right? You see all the different people dropping with you. And should I actually go into a pub? Maybe. You see all the different people dropping with you and you're like, how did he drop? Right? There's a drop that I'm trying to figure out above Misty where people will get lower than me because they actually go way down here and take advantage of the mountain pulling in their chute, whereas I have to basically do this a bunch if the bus is like way up north, you know, to get to where I usually like to go, if that makes sense. So look at how other people drop and see if they're going to get lower than you, or even in some cases, right? Somebody might be dropping at a different spot than you in Misty, but they might go lower than you. And you could use that and be like, okay, well, he pulled the chute around here. Let me do that. He pulled the chute around here. Let me do that, right? Those different things will basically figure it out for you, the entire thing. Especially like when it comes to hot drops, you need to be able to drop. If the bus is coming anywhere down on the south side of the map and you need to land Misty for whatever reason, you need to figure out, okay, I need to land here. So basically you can put markers on all the different sides. Maybe you need 4 different things to drop and you can adjust them based on how it's feeling in every single game. But like, okay, if the bus is coming from this side, I want to pull my chute down here. By pulling my chute, I basically just mean going to that marker spot and going straight down. Because you basically don't want to be using your glider. You want to be using your glider as little as possible. Okay, so picking the spot you want to go straight down at, and then as soon as you reach that, go straight down for whatever spot it might be. Okay, when you're gliding too, something important is that you want to be watching. You want to be watching how other people are dropping, not for the drop mechanic itself, but this is like when you're actually in a tournament. You want to say, okay, there's a guy going my side. Okay, he's going to land up there. There's 2 guys going that side. I'm free here. There might be a guy blue, right? And you have to take advantage. Okay, there's actually also a guy going house, like center house. You want to put all of that in your mind so that you can figure out a plan, right? Okay, the guy hill might push. He might harass. So I don't want to fight until I'm at least somewhere else, or I could disengage this way. Right? This guy house, he might come down here, but for the most part, I know this is looted, and I'm not going to find any more potential here. There's no reason for me to go this way. Maybe going this way might be good, especially if this guy goes down this way. I could, now that I know there's two people over here, quickly make my route down to these houses and then push these guys because they're going to be low on the third party. Right? That's possible. So that's something you really, really need to do. Okay? You really, really, really need to be paying attention to where people are dropping so that you could make plans from that. And you could also know whether or not you're safe to do your normal loot route, right? My normal loot route, something like this: grab this chest, drop down, break through this wall, obviously place a wall there to be safe against anybody else. Come here, place a stair behind me, place a stair again. Loot this up, place another stair. I want to be safe this entire time. Loot that. Okay, then I want to break up. And break up again, because I know there's a chest up here. Boom. I come through here. This is my normal loot route. Placing a wall here while I open this door. Break up. Nice. Break this. There's another chest here. So I'm basically breaking all the different chests. And I haven't quite figured out how to get the value out of the bottom because there's another chest up here that I go up. And also I make sure to look back because there's a floor loot spot there. Whatever. I take a quick peek in here because there's just floor loot. And if there's anything I want, I go grab it. But still building, especially if there's people on the other side. Grab this. I build against in case there's anybody up there. But I should know if there's anybody up there or not. But one thing I do is, especially when it's uncontested, is I build anyways, just because I don't know and I don't want to trust what I saw in the sky. Because sometimes people are really bad at dropping. Right? Sometimes people are really bad at dropping. So you just make sure that you're always building and being aware no matter what. Okay, I grab that. I break that chest with the stair just because it's faster. I don't have to loot it. Okay. You can use a cone if you want. But then I break up. And I know my final chest is right here. And something I missed, actually, is number one, that door. And then I also missed, I usually place a cone right as I come in here because there's an ammo box that spawns on top of this fridge. So quickly I grab that and then I'm out. I go out the back door and continue follow. I place a cone there to break that ammo box and then finally break this. And I'm not going to go through the rest of the loot path because this is kind of where things diverge usually. Usually there's somebody who's already looted that or whatever, or I want to push a fight. But if there's nobody here, I continue down and loot this entire thing. Well, actually, if there's nobody here, sometimes I go across first and then come back this way. Specifically because I want to end my loot path on the upgrade machine down here. Right? Because at that point, I've looted everything. I know what I'm going to leave with. And I also need to decide whether I want to upgrade or not. In solos, I love having a purple shotgun at least. At the very least. So there I would have actually placed a cone. It's faster than even swinging your pickaxe. What else? I can't stress that enough, by the way. These mechanics about breaking things when you can with a cone or a stair. Like for example, this. Right? I run in here. I know that instantly as I open this door, I come through, place a cone. Like that's so much faster than I come through here. I don't even go up the stairs. Why? Because I know it's faster for me to just break this, come through, and then I will break this, grab the ammo box if it's there. I grab every single ammo box in a competitive environment, unless it's Cash Cup, and I know I'm going to fight somebody anyways. But when it comes to like a DreamHack style, when it's really, really stacked, I need every ammunition I can get. Because typically, actually, I might get one or two houses and start rotating. That's basically my Cash Cup route. This is where I'm like, okay, I can loot as much as I want. But when other people are in effect, people who I'm not necessarily interested in fighting, if somebody lands there, if somebody lands there, I take these two houses if I can, and then I get out of Dodge. I get out of here. I go this way. I try not to fight. And this is what other pros do too. Or this is what pros do, I should say. I get out of here. I want to start getting towards the central position. Okay. And we'll talk about that a little bit later. But this is basically the rest of your path. Sometimes I loot this, but more importantly, I want to start getting center. Okay. And that's kind of the bizzle, what everybody teaches us when you watch stack games, right? It's like, okay, you need a little bit of loot, but more importantly, you want to push towards anything else. Okay. Just looking at my notes. Guys, if you have any questions, now would be the time to ask them. And we might go back to Loot Lake to go over them a little bit. I know the 30 minutes elapsed. I'm actually going to restart that because I have more to talk about. I have more in the lesson. So we'll go another 30 minutes on that. And then after this one, we'll play with you guys. How do you know if you're going to get third-partied? This is actually a good segue into my other points, but being third-partied is all about information, right? It's all about playing a spot too, okay? So like when I talked about dropping and like looking around and stuff, that was about, are you going to get third-partied or not? Are there spots, right? So you want to avoid, if I know somebody landed up on the hill, for example, and this could be applied to every spot. If I know that somebody landed on the outside, I know they're going to be taking a look at me. Okay. So I know they're going to be taking a look at me and also be trying to cut me off before I get the rest of the loot. So what I would do is actually try to push over to this house, put some distance in between me and that person, right? I said earlier, possibly there's a guy dropping here, right? All right. So he could push with the toilet all the way down here to upgrade, or to the upgrade machine, because obviously there's an upgrade station up there, so there'd be no point for him to do that. But sometimes people do stupid things, right? So he could do that. And so in this case, I'd want to maybe try to get over here first and give him that, right? Give him that. Grab this, and then maybe push to the other side if nobody else has dropped over there, right? So that's how you play with the third parties, right? Know your spots. Lazy, these guys will always push you in lazy. They will always push you. Why? Because there's just not enough loot here. They get a couple fish and they think they can fight. And that sometimes is the case, right? What is the most essential part in a loot route? Do you need a win condition? Yes, that's important. You need a win condition. That win condition is different for everybody else. And what is a win condition? A win condition is, what do I need to win the game? Right? What? Let me go over back to my camera real quick. What can I do to make sure that I achieve my win condition so that I will win the game? For people who land grotto, it's getting the vault, it's getting the minigun, okay? And then win condition will change later on with zones and stuff like that. But at that stage in the game, it's, I want the minigun, I want the vault, I want the guaranteed launch pad out of the vault. And then my early game is complete. Okay. If that doesn't happen, you need to have backup plans, right? You need to be like, okay, well, if I didn't get the vault, I want to, let me open Loot Lake. If I didn't get the vault, I want to get this off the screen. I want to make sure that I get all the fish possible. I want to make sure that I get all of the fish possible, right? Can I actually put this on the side over here? Yeah. Ignore the download. I want to get all of this, right? Or I want to push somebody in retail. So when I'll step back a little bit and say win condition is obviously very variable, but you do want certain things out of your loot path. Okay, and to get back to your original question, I actually don't remember what your original question is, but we'll talk about paths for a second. Like, there are certain things that you want to have goals for, which is, I need a shotgun, I need max heals. Those are the types of things you should be looking for before going forward, but you also need to abandon those. When time comes, if the zone is really, really far, if you're in Misty and the zone is one of these, right? It's like, nah, like, who cares what you have? Who cares what win condition you have? You can achieve it later. Like, let's get hauling, you know? Let's get out of here. If you land near a mythic spot, should you push in after and contest the person who already has a mythic weapon or leave? That depends. That depends, right? Because Depends on a lot of things. Number one, are these people still stacked? Did they just get the mythic item and that's it? And did you control the rest of it? Because in that case, they might be free pickings, right? If you rely on that mythic item a lot, if you need the mythic grappler, for example, to win your games, then yeah, you should try to fight them. That should be kind of a given, right? If you land shark and the guy gets the grappler, and you only win your games with the grappler, like that's what you also have to take in consideration: practice versus tournaments, practice versus real matches. Real matches, you need to do whatever you can to win without what you don't have, right? You're not going to give up and force a dumb fight because you don't have the grappler. Okay, versus in practice, that's kind of different, right? You want to start learning how to not win with the grappler. You want to start learning how to do different things like that. So it really depends. And also it really depends on the situation that is in front of you. If you're shambles, like there's no point in fighting somebody who's just going to dominate you. If you don't have a shotgun, you have no shields, this guy has a grappler, like no point. Don't push him. That's stupid. You're griefing yourself. You're griefing yourself. If you land near a mythic spot, okay. I just answered that question. Cool. Tack or pump? Guys, that is preference. That is 100% preference. But I will say one thing. I will say one thing about the tack in early game, and specifically because that's what this class is focused about. I will say that the tack is better if you are going for 50-50, right? If you land on top of Sweaty, at the hotel, and there's a tack, a white tack, and a blue pump, okay? I'm going to land on the white tack. I'm going to land on the white tack because of a higher fire rate, right? I can miss my shot and still do okay, and I can also use the other stuff. But leaving this, once I get an AR, once I get an SMG, I'd rather have the blue pump. That's the only thing I would say about tack versus pump in early game. After that, fully preference, guys. I'm not going to make a claim for you guys to figure out because some players prefer tack, some players prefer pump. If you're unknown army, you'd be taking a purple pump over purple tack every single time. If you're Bizzle, you'll take a blue tack over a purple pump because it's better in laggy endgames. But again, that's just them. It's preference. How do you combat really good builders? I don't think that question has too much to do with early game, and I am going to talk a little bit about build fighting versus box fighting in a second, so we'll get to that. A lot of people are asking about fights mechanics, and that I think we'll get to in a little bit. Specifically, though, we're going to talk about early game, just because it's easier to talk about in a focused environment, and this is what the class is about. What happens when you try to run and someone decides to push you? Okay, good question. Good question. So say you got hotel and there's still a bunch of people over here and you want to try to disengage because zone, whatever. A couple different things, okay? So what I'm going to say is let's go back in a game. Let's go back in a game. And this is actually something that happens to me a lot, especially in cash cups. It's like, okay, I've gotten these two houses. I'm trying to leave. And nobody landed over here, so I'm going to push that. I might get in the whatever, and let's go over there. But I start getting shot by somebody blue house. I get down over here, and it just becomes awkward, okay? So, especially if I leave from that side. So I'm building. I'm still trying to run away. I notice the guy's still chasing me. Okay, I break line of sight. That's the first thing. I break line of sight and shake things up. I don't go straight. I want to continue trying to break line of sight without building, hopefully. And I want to try to take, if he's still chasing, use your third person view to see, is he still chasing? Okay. At a certain point, you have to decide, can I escape without him seeing where I'm going? Or am I going to fight? And this is important. I think that a lot of pros you'll see do this, right? You'll see them hide for a second. They'll disengage, try to get a spot where they can't see. Is the guy still chasing? They'll take a couple shots and try to turn the fight a little bit. Whether it's a couple beams or not, whether it's a good now engagement for you to take, you'll see them oftentimes just continue to back up and say, okay, I'm going this way. Are you still going to chase me? In this case, you do it again. But sometimes you get a little different, right? You're still running away. The guy's still chasing you. Take a couple other shots. If you get enough tags, the guy will back off. He'll stop. He'll have to heal. He'll have to do whatever. Or you'll get such a good advantage that it's time for you to push. But that's the important part, right? Keep trying to dissuade people. More importantly, always look for an opportunity to fully escape, fully break that line of sight. Boom. He can't see where I'm going right now. He can't see at all. I'm going to try to get behind this house. Use the rock as well. Every single time. Turning around to look. Getting right behind the house. Okay, line of sight broken. Use third person. Still chasing, still chasing. Yes. Real quick. Let's get up here. Wait for him to cross. Wait for him to continue pushing. He has no clue where I am, right? Because we've broken line of sight for a little while now. Boom. Okay. Eventually, there's some people that you just can't do anything about. And it's time to box fight. And what I would recommend, box up in brick and accept them. Okay. And get a nice 1x2. Nice 1x2. Don't necessarily always go into 1x1. But now you can box fight them. So. And you got to just win your fights. There's some cases that you just have to fight. Okay. And that's not bad. That's not like some people are stupid. Some people are going to push you and you don't want to fight them, but they just continue to do it. You just have to win that fight. That's where your skill, that's where your mechanics, that's where your box fighting practice goes. And that's where all the videos that ProGuides does on box fighting and all the different things go into effect right here. You just got to, when somebody pushes you, that's how it is. So hopefully that answered your question, Brendan. And we'll answer one more before we go to our next. How do you deal with vault campers? That's a good question. Some people are just going to be annoying like that. Don't engage those people unless you have a significant advantage. Unless you have grenades to pull the tides. Just like some people are going to be annoying. Annoying. Don't deal with those people unless they're free kills. They're free kills? Good. What's better, chest or floor loot? For dropping directly, chest is actually now better in chapter 2 since it's 100%. So you want to land on chest because they're guaranteed. Unless you see floor loot, that is obviously guaranteed. If you see something, go for it. That is more guaranteed than a chest because chest still has RNG. But you can guarantee yourself at least a weapon out of a chest, which is probably a good reason. But I think, here's the thing. When people ask that question, I wonder if you guys are too caught up in that question. It's like, depending on where you are, certain things are going to be better, right? If there's nobody near you, a chest is okay. If somebody's 50-50ing you, you can't really go for a chest unless you're guaranteed to get that 100%, right? If somebody lands on the same roof as you, like, okay, don't engage in that. Try to land at a different spot. Go where you see a guaranteed white tack, right? Because what if you get a sniper out of the chest, right? So floor loot is better, but don't rely on floor loot. Don't land at, everybody knows doghouse, so I'll use that example. Don't land doghouse, run in the back here, and go for no chests, and let the guy get the doghouse chest, hoping that you'll find a tack. Like, nah. Be a little bit more serious about that. Drop in the balcony, get one of the guaranteed chests on the top or the bottom, or go from there. Or see an item through a window and go for that, That's what I would say. Okay, let's move on. I think hold on, this looks like a good question. Does your playstyle always play into where you should land? Yes, 100%. Always plays into where you should land. Always. I don't know how to use any examples for that, but I think that should be it should be, you don't want to be challenging where you don't have a chance. You don't want to be challenging where you have to play to not your advantages. And people will always say that, play to your advantages, play to your strengths. If you're a good box fighter, play somewhere where there's going to be good box fights. If you're a good positional player, play somewhere where there's good positional advantage. I would say like the agency, for example, is actually very, very much positional based. Let's fly over there real quick. I don't know why that transition didn't work. Okay, just not working. There we go. And it transitioned back. Hmm. One of my hotkeys is messed up. No, it's not. It is. Why did that just suddenly start messing up in the middle of the stream? There we go. Cool. Let's really quickly run over to the agency, and I'll show you why I think it's very positional focused. But Flames Lord, the answer to that question is yes. So figure out what type of player you are and go from there. So a lot of people asking about minigun spammers, and that's it. So I'm doing more classes, and I think that one of the things I will cover is positioning in the next class, and I think positioning will have a lot to do with minigun spammers. So I'll talk about that in my next class, which I believe is going to be on Tuesday around the same time as today. Okay, so we were talking about why, if you're a positional player, landing agency is actually pretty decent. I don't have my weapons anymore, but basically this is why. How many different layers there are, how many quick ways there are to disengage, how you can get back up to the high ground from multiple different spots. One from the ways from the outside, there's stairways on the inside, and then also like controlling the vault is very important. So you'll see like people like Wolfies and Letchi, they actually run rings around their opponents because they're so fast at navigating. I don't know how to navigate the agency because I don't land here, but they quickly are able to get so much and surprise people through spots that they didn't know were existent. And it's so wide that you could do it also without being heard. So I'd say positional players that also are very aggressive are good at the agency. Okay. Let's move off of the questions. Let's go into the rest of this, and I'm going to talk about execution and specifically playing to your strengths and playing to the strengths of spots, and just basically how to actually win a spot. And to do that, we're going to go over towards, if I respawn, will I land all the way back at Misty? Probably. But that's okay. We can use Misty as the example. Yeah, okay, nice. Really cool battle lab. Really, really cool. Is it better to do this in arena anyways? Nah. Okay, so playing to your strengths is the #1 most important thing in any competitive or any basically life advice right there. It's like play to your strengths. So land where you know. If you don't know how to land on that side, don't land there in tournaments. Unless you're forced to. Okay, land where you know. But also, figure out where the best spots in Misty are. For example, this house has 3 chests. And you also can get quick access to these ones in the center. Let's zoom in a little bit, because they're all kind of tied together. This one definitely not the greatest. Clock tower also something to consider in clock tower. Why? Because it's a very, very high spot. You get a quick chest. You get information on everybody else. But in this case, the reason why clock tower is not that good is there's actually another whole section of the map of Misty that will be bad. Okay, so I say play to your strengths. Play where you know. Land where you actually know about the chests. Right? Because then you can efficiently loot. You can do things like this instantly without thinking. You can break everywhere that you know. And I missed a chest right here. Boom. Whatever. We got another kit. But then play the positions of strength. I think right here is actually a spot that you want to be able to control a lot from. And also like you can maneuver against the other people on the outside a little bit. Up on heights. Gives you a lot of information, and you can gather that knowledge, right? You can spot, is this guy looting this? Is he in this house? Okay, I'm going to sneak in through the back. try to get him, whatever. And then more important than anything about landing spots is know the splits, okay? Know what happens if somebody lands, and we'll use this side as an example still. If somebody lands here, okay, what happens? What are the options? If I loot this house first, am I faster? Am I gonna get to this house before him? Okay? If I am, is there a way for me to now push him away? So I'm saying know the splits, and the splits are basically, if I land here, this guy lands here, what can I take before this guy either kills me, starts fighting me, or backs off? Right? Know what am I going to be able to take? Can I open my, no, I can't. I can't do my pen tool right now because I'm full screen. But basically, I'll use the other side now. You split this straight down the middle in some cases if somebody lands right here, right? Because this house and this house take about the same time. Upgrade house versus red. Take about the same amount of time to loot until you can get into the next house. Boom, you're into the next. I'm also into the next. He's into the next. I'm also into the next. Okay, now it's awkward because he's going to push over to the side, but he can actually push here first before me. If he's very efficient, he could do that before me. And now he cuts off my loot path, and now it's time for me to leave because I don't have anything else. I have some floor loot over here, and then I can push up to the mountain. But know those things, because this now will change. If you see somebody landing here, maybe, just maybe, you try to cut him off. You take this house first, and then go from here and go up this way. Because then it's kind of like awkward for him. Maybe you take this house, and then go back over here. Now you've cut him off. Now he basically has nothing else. It's like restricting the space. Let me use my actual character, not just looking at the map, to kind of describe that, right? If he lands upgrade, maybe you land this house. Now all he gets left is blue. He's not going to have any loot here, and you can start backing up over here, or maybe cross back to your original loot path. Now he's restricted. Now he has nothing compared to what you will have, which is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 6 chests to 1, 2, 3, 3 chests. Okay, so know these splits, know how they play into effect, because you'll be able to constrict people based on that. All right. And also you'll know what the play is. Right? If we do the normal split that I talked about at the front, you know that if this guy is efficient, and you should be scouting for him. So let me actually talk about that for a second. If this guy is efficient, and you can tell that because right here, when you built your wall to go through, you waited for a second and looked to see where was he. If he's at the bottom of that building, if he's literally running out the backside right then you loot this, and by the time you're finished, you might be able to push over if you take one quick glance up through the top like I showed you guys. He might be in the roof there. Okay, at that point, it's like, yeah, I can grab this before he's done. And we might have to give up this house because that's where he's going to push to, especially if he sees that you're there. So know those splits. Because at this point, it's like, I have to make the decision. Is he efficient? Okay, if he's efficient, I back out. All right. This is the time where he's also making that decision, and he's also making the decision whether he'll fight you or not. And that's important. So you guys asked how to avoid getting third-partied. This is how. Don't know that this guy is going to be pushing for this, seeing that he's an efficient looter, and then go for this anyways if you don't want to fight. If you do want to fight, that's fine. That's fine. But know that he's going to have about the same amount of loot as you because he looted all that and you looted all this. All right? Okay, let's talk about if this fight actually goes down. If this guy pushes you while he's like, okay, cool, I'm done with my loot route, I'm going to push you. This is what you're going to want to do. And I say box fighting is better than build fighting in almost all cases, because if you end up build fighting on the top of this house, you're cranking on this guy, whatever, all of these guys get a chance to take shots at you. All of these guys see that this fight is happening. see all the information about it, know who gets cracked when, and they will pounce so hard and so fast. The guys on the hill are taking shots at you. If you're down below, you're cranking like this. You have a nice brick base. You're refarming materials. You're being efficient. You're making him come to you. I don't have a shotgun. I guess that doesn't matter. You're making him come to you. You could take peanut butter peeks on him. You can make window peeks. You can do whatever you want. You can play aggressively with the piece control. Right? And he's all of a sudden on the outside wasting materials on you. And this is what won Booga World Cup. This concept of him fighting early. Like him box fighting no matter what. Like Booga at World Cup, I did a VOD review on him. He would literally tunnel. He would go like this to the next house. Why? Because it gives him all of this space to operate. If somebody does push him, he's back right over here, fully built metal, waiting for them to make a mistake. Oh, you're going to get on the wall? All right, cool. Opening this, pump shotting you, right? He has all this space. At the same time, he has materials versus the other guys on the outside spending mats. He's earning materials versus spending materials. So all of this is gaining you space, gaining you room to work with. And it's a lot safer because now, okay, this guy's box fighting you on this side. Okay, cool. I'm backing up. I'm actually not even building. Whatever, I have a wall in my way. I'm leaving. I'm out the back. This guy has no clue. I'm out the back. I'm gone. Because he has to now look through all of that. He has no clue where I'm at. Booga disengaged a majority of his World Cup early game fights with that concept alone. And the cool thing too is you have all that space to work with. If a third party does come and they start build fighting, I'm out the back. I'm out the back. So many escape routes just from box fighting. So box fighting in early game is better than build fighting, but not always. Not always. Because in some cases, like Bizzle's route, you can't really box fight. You don't actually have the materials. It's really open. There's nothing for you to actually like connect and get to more space. You're left in the open box fighting and you have no materials to actually refarm or do anything, right? So you might make a nice 2x1 and you can't refarm walls. You can't do anything. So in those cases, it's like, yes, eventually you probably will end up in a box fight, but build fighting for a brief moment is fine, especially because you know that there's not too many other people on the outside looking in. And so that's also another thing too, is that like Bizzle's spot up here on the bridge or near the bridge, there's not always going to be that many people. Maybe somebody lands here sometimes. Okay, maybe that's the guy I'm fighting. Maybe I'm fighting Nanolite if I'm Bizzle because Nanolite's on the bridge. But who else is around here? The Lazy Lake guys, maybe eventually they'll come through, but that's going to take a minute. Okay, that's going to take a minute. Okay. A question that was asked in chat, I don't remember who, a long time ago, and I said I would get to it, was how to deal with a 50-50, how to deal with when somebody lands on you. Like, okay, I'm landing here, this other guy's landing here. What do you do? And I already said, don't ever 50-50. Okay, don't ever land somewhere where it looks like it's going to be even for you guys getting a gun. Okay, split off. Split off, or if you're in duos, you can double pickaxe. Sometimes that works. If he lands on a roof, for example, and trying to get to the chest, then you can push him off the building, and now you have more. Especially if you know his other duo is going to be far away and they can't do anything. That's going to put them in shambles and give you a lot of room to work with. But for example, I go here a lot. I try to land here because there's a lot of floor loot. There's one up there. There's a couple spot. Actually, there's like 2 floor loot spawns that spawn right next to each other. There's one right here. There's one over there too. So I land right on the outside of this building. And oftentimes people will try to 50-50 that, whatever. It's like, well, I have the better drop. I win. But if they directly 50-50 you and it's way too late for you to do anything about it, unfortunately, you're going to have a mad dash. That's why I recommend never 50-50ing if you can avoid it. Ever, 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 ever. Oftentimes I see somebody has the same drop as me and is going for the same thing. And I basically act like I'm going to go 50-50 them. And I'm like, nope, I'm going to go out the front. I'm going to land here instead. There's always these other options. There's always these other options. Can I respawn again? Yeah, let's respawn one more time. Should you take a helicopter in scrims? Helicopters don't exist in scrims, my man. Helicopters do not exist in scrims. So oftentimes, again, I'm 50-50ing, or I'm not 50-50ing. I'm going for my specific route, and I see that somebody else is coming directly on me. I'm like, okay. I'm going to act like I'm 50-50. I'm like, okay, I'm still landing here. I'm landing here. And then I'll split off and go to somewhere else I know there's no extra loot, like over here. Right? And boom, 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 whatever. From there, it's no longer 50-50. It's really simple. Just don't have an ego, basically. Don't have an ego. And have options, too. Options being what I just showed you. Okay? Or options even being, oh, wow, this guy's 50-50ing me. There's another guy going blue. Guys, I'm going to have to switch my landing. I'm going to go out here. I'm going to land all the way out here. That's an option. Right? That's an option. The other thing is if you see a lot of people dropping off in hot drop, right? You're trying to get the hot drop into Misty. There's a lot of people. You're like, never mind. I'm going to go land over here. I'm going to land at Slurp Truck instead. Like, know the options out of what you have, because that will save you so much. That'll save you so much. Literally an insane amount. So when you're studying your drop as well, learn that stuff too. Learn where the chests are. Let's go back to Loot Lake. As my stream crashes a little. There we go. Get this out of here. Spawn the chests again. Let's learn these options. Oh, there's an agency chest up here. That could be an option. 2 chests here, 1 chest there. This entire path might be an option. Bridge down to here might be an option. Weather station, definitely not an option. Why? Because it's too far away. So by the time you're landing, there's no chance of you dropping up there. This house might be an option. And I recommend having 2 to 3 different spot options. This might be your main. You need to know how to land both sides if you're landing Misty. But if this is your main, other options, here's one. Here's another. Okay, at least 2 to 3. Maybe another option is landing on the agency chest, coming straight down here. Boom. Option, and then coming down over here and possibly trying to sneak these 3. Like that. Those are the options that you can call audibles when you're like, okay, this is too hot. I don't want to be doing this. Because that's way too, if there's 5 people landing on your side in a solo cash cup, guys, don't land there. Like, be smart about it. These guys are all going to die. There's going to be one guy who gets out of here. He's going to be shambles. He might have good loot, but he's going to be shambles on heals because he just fought 4 people. He might have 4 points, but he's going to be shambles and die. And you're going to have an opportunity to get 4 kills plus placement. Always play for the end game. Always, 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 always. That doesn't mean don't push fights. That just means that you should maximize your point potential in every game. Okay. Guys, I think we're chilling. Any more questions before we move on to playing some drop spots? We're gonna land Misty Meadows a couple spots or a couple times, and it's gonna be a good time. Any more questions on early game fundamentals? What should you practice in pubs or arena? It depends what you're practicing, but most of the time I want to practice in arena just because they have the extra mats harvesting and like your paths are actually good. But if you're just practicing fighting, maybe arena is a little bit too slow paced in terms of queues. That might be a thing. Best spot for arena. Okay, this is a question I get a lot. There is no such thing as a best drop spot. There's no such thing. Why? There might be good drop spots, but you have to be good to be able to contest those good drop spots. You have to be really good at those. Grotto is good for Tfue and Scoped, but it's bad for me because I don't know Grotto enough. I don't know the paths, and I also don't want to be fighting against Tfue and Scoped. They'll just beat me, right? Simple. I don't want to land Retail Row because Thwyfo will clap me. And other people who are like Thwyfo will clap me. But in cash cups, it's like, okay, those guys are not there. Maybe I can play that. Are the people who land retail good? Maybe not. I land Misty. I know that Bizzle. I know that Scented. I know that a bunch of people land there. But I land Misty in solo cash cups because most of the people that fight there are not that good. They're typically not that good, right? How to get tags. This isn't about Storm Surge, but I did make a video on Storm Surge tags. So, but getting back to that point about drop spots, like there's no such thing as a best drop spot. The drop spot will be based on how many people are landing there, who is landing there. Like, so Misty, when there's 5 people landing there, it's no longer good. It's like, nah, I'm done. There's no point in landing here. It's not better than these shambles loot route on the sides. So it depends. If it's uncontested, yeah, it might be one of the best spots in the game. If you're not an aggressive player and there's 3 people landing Misty, maybe not so good. If you're a passive player, but you're getting Misty uncontested, maybe it's good. You see, like, there's situational things all the time. All the time, all the time, all the time. How to counter a right-hand peek. Box fight. Box fight. If somebody's about to take a right-hand peek on you, you just don't peek them. High ping tips. I don't know if we're going to do a class on that. High ping tips, basically high ping tips before we move into the play with pro section. That's not about early game, but I would say that high ping, you just have to know that your wall is going to be getting taken. Like when I play on EU cash cups, I play them all the time because I have time to do that. I don't necessarily always have time to play the NA East cash cups. I have 100 ping and somebody pushes me, I'm fine with taking the fight, but I just know that he's going to take my wall. I know that he's going to take my wall, and I know that I'm not going to get a wall. So what I do, I don't try to take a wall. I go one wall. I go to the other side. I go to the roof. I bang on all of those different things and make him make a mistake, right? Because I can react to him. But I just know if he is pickaxing my wall, he's going to take it. So I stare behind myself, escape to the other box, maybe edit the stairs, and then reset, take a shot, whatever. Like all those different things. But when he goes to take the wall, he will grab it. If he is going to place a building piece, and I'm trying to place that same piece, he will grab it. Just know that and play for that. What else? Do late game tips. We're going to do one episode. We're going to do a class on late game tips and end game fundamentals. So basically what I did today on end game. Does that sound good to you guys? Sound good? Tacker pump. Guys, I would say, like, it's a good question, but I'd say it's purely preference. If you are somebody who plays box fights and gets big tags a lot, you play with the pump. If you are somebody who gets chip damage and likes the high fire rate, play with the tack. If you're somebody who plays endgame and loves the ability that the tack gives you to break walls really fast, play with the tack. If I land and someone drops on me, should I disengage? Depends. Do you have the better drop? If you do, then you just win that. But that's what we talked about towards the end there, like having options, right? Okay, you guys want to play? Shall we play? Let's play. It says play with a pro, but you know, I am pretty good, but I don't know if I don't know. We'll have to see if the ProGuides community is up to. Are they using the videos? Let's figure that out. It's gonna be a good time. So what we're gonna do, guys, is a little exercise I call early game customs, early game scrims, and to do that, we're gonna play arena, and we're gonna use a custom. Okay, I'm gonna type a code, and I'm gonna type it in chat, and I'm gonna say it. You guys go here basically. Before I do that, let's actually reserve the code. All right, code is Ballatw, and what you need to do, why is that not updating? It still says, oh, there, it just switched to arena. Okay, cool. Code is Ballatw, and I'm gonna post it in the YouTube chats. Custom code. I'm gonna start when we get, oh, this is probably good. Yeah, that's a lot. There's gonna be a lot of people landing Misty Meadows, but this is good, this is fine. I was gonna type it in the chat, but you guys are really fast. So We're all landing Misty. We're all landing Misty. Every single one of us. All 16 players here, we're landing Misty Meadows. What's up, buddy? What's up, buddy? And you do this if you have custom access. Unfortunately, not everybody has custom access, but you can find a friend who has it and start the game with a few people and everybody land Misty together. Make sure you thank the bus driver. And good luck, have fun. And this is where you take your paths. You take the 50-50 practice and you go for it. And when I die, I'm going to stay in the game as long as I can and comment on how people are playing. But yeah, this is how you learn your spot. This is how you learn the drops. All the different things that we basically talked about. Here we go. So this guy has a good drop. I see that he landed somewhere around that side of the corner. And he's going in. All right, so I'm going to use that to my advantage later on when I do this again. If we get that drop again, I'm going to land here because I saw a white pistol. That's like guaranteed at least. Okay, I have a tack and a big paw. I'm going to try to take those. There's a guy coming in. Ooh. I lost to Zeke. That was good because he got the tack from the outside and then he pushed in. This guy on the roof only has a FAMAS. This isn't a good fight. So Zeke is taking this really, really nicely. I'm going to get kicked out in a second here, so that's unfortunate that I died first, but it is what it is. But that was a good push. He got the white tack and he pushed in the house and played it correctly too. I didn't have the mats to really hang on, so I had to try to use a SMG to fight him, and it didn't work because I'm butt. So this guy still, all he has is a burst. Zeke just completely plays that. Right shoulder peek, very, very nice. He box fought like we talked about. And now we're down to 7. SMG, this guy should have material advantage, but the nice cone. Ooh, kid is cracked. Let's go, Zeke. But the third party's coming in. He's got to be careful. And I'm out. Unfortunate. Unfortunate. We go next. I'll give you guys a little time before I announce the code. And we're probably going to try to start with around 8 people, not 16. But I'll give you guys a little time so you don't have to back out of that game before going into the next. And I'm going to type it in chats. And this is NA East, guys. This is NA East. This is NA East. All right. That should be enough time for that to finish up, at least the fighting. And we will type the code. Good luck on getting in, guys. Code is all lowercase, I suck. Oh my God, my cat is doing something I've never seen before. She's literally climbing. That's actually insane. I wish I could show you guys, but I'm not going to do that because that would be a little unprofessional. 3 people in. That's insane. My cat is the biggest, like, she never does anything. Code is I suck lowercase. I maybe typed it wrong, but there's 3 people in queue. $44 people. All right, we're gonna need to redo the code because I clearly typed it wrong. Let me type it first, copy and paste. Your game is loading. Yeah, it's probably somebody else who has custom access who got the code. It's Ballatw2. Ballatw2. All right, starting the match. There's 13 people in there. People are trying to bait me with World Cup possible announcements. I'm assuming those are fake. Thank you, guys. Wait a second. Wow, this is a lot of communication. Wow, I need to read this. I cannot wait to read this. Oops. Misty again, guys. Misty again. This could be a little more awkward because the drop is over the mountain. And so this is where I was talking about like the mountain drop that the people were getting. But wow. Wow, 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 wow. There is a lot of tweets going out. So this is what I was talking about, how my strategy to drop here is to like kind of stay high before and get over the mountain so I don't pull my chute too early. But I've seen people have good drops. Like this guy's probably too low, I would say. But I can't quite see. Like these guys all have better drops than me. Like all of them. Much better. So what I would do on that bus, I would adjust and drop a little bit earlier and do what they did. Yeah, they're all way better than me, except on the side here. There's not a lot of people going on the side. Like a lot of people went that side. So I'm going to be able to, hopefully there's a guy on the outside there. There's one in the top of that building. I might bounce and land over here. Somebody in here, I think. Yeah, what's up, buddy? I'm very good at dropping. Oops. Why does that happen? It keeps sending me to full screen. Sorry about that, guys. There we go. We're back in the game. Okay, so Toxie got a really nice drop, and then another person pushed it. Ooh, that was kind of nasty, Toxie. That was kind of nasty. Good of him. The guy's sneaking on the outside. Very good of him. I like how he's placing the stair behind himself so that he can, but this is a little too much. Too much. It was nice that he was actually able to hit those shots, but I would say that's too aggressive through that window, especially because he didn't have the piece control. That guy could have boxed him up if he wanted to. All right, next we go again. This time we're going to be really creative and say it's Ballatw 3. Ballatw 3. And I'm starting as soon as I see queued players go up. Just so we can have less. Hopefully that's 11. $12, $13. Okay, we got 13 in this next one. Why is my mouse? Poggers. I kind of want to read that on stream if I can. We're going Misty again. And this one I'm a little bit more familiar with the drop, so it should be better. After this game, I think I have permission to like go over the tweets that Fortnite comp just made about World Cup and stuff like that. So we're gonna try to do that. Nice, nice. This guy might have a better drop than me. Yeah, he does. They're all going to the side there. I'm gonna slide in the front. Nice pump. It's so many pumps. It's actually insane. Since I only have attack and nothing else, I'm gonna use just attack. GG. As you can see, I am very bad at early game. I have a lot to work on. But this is a fun exercise. I think everybody should actually do this with their friends. And trade drop spots. Ooh, Tolu. Little WC Tolu. He's already prepared for the World Cup 2021. He's already prepared. He knows what's going on. Ooh, that was a nice phase by this other guy. Yo, y'all are cracked. Y'all are too cracked for somebody like me to handle anymore. Too cracked. Too cracked. Everybody's phasing in. Let's go. All right, I'm going to get kicked out. I'm not even going to be able to see the end of this. Yep, there you go. Cool. All right, guys. I'm going to pull up those tweets that FN Comp just made, and we're going to talk about them real quick. I will close out my game. This is a massive thread. A massive thread. Take a look, guys. There we go, yep. Take a look at this. This is insane. So, FN Comp just tweeted a whole thread. They said, last month we said we would provide our evolving 2020 competitive roadmap. Today we wanted to provide updates on where we're at with the plans in 2020. Said physical events for the rest of 2020. There's no physical events. We don't know when we'll return to large global persons, but they're trying to put a Fortnite World Cup 2021. FNCS will be returning every season, every single season for the rest of 2020. That's insane. That's really, really good information because that lets us know that we're going to be here for the rest of the year. Cash Cups, continuing to do that. And they're trying to continue to adjust the structure of Cash Cups, which is nice. All Fortnite comp events must be held online only. And then broadcasts are back. And let me actually take a look at this video. Oh no, it's just a link to the Twitch, I think. Cool. That's awesome. So we're back. Broadcasts are back. Official broadcasts. That's really cool. All right, guys. I hope you enjoyed this class. I hope that it was at least somewhat educational. Next week, I think we're going to be doing a class on Tuesday about, what was it going to be about? About positioning. About positioning your place. So basically I'm doing 3 stages. I'm doing 3 lessons. First one on early game. Second one's gonna be on positioning throughout mid game, throughout end game, all that sort of stuff. Literally all positioning. Maybe we won't touch on end game too much, but it's mostly gonna be mid game stuff. And we'll talk about surge. We'll talk about a bunch of things that you guys asked about today. That's gonna be Tuesday. And then next Thursday, I'll do a class on end game. Okay, so end game, everything that comes with end game. That means we'll be talking about, we'll be talking about tunneling. We'll be talking about all that juicy stuff. But that'll be Thursday around the same time. Any more questions? We want Keith Allen. Yeah, man, Keith Allen's dope. I don't know if he does the live classes though. But yeah, we all miss Keith Allen. What do you think about landing Yacht? Yacht is a great landing spot. And I'll tell you why, because there's actually not too many fights that go on there. If you fight there, it is kind of awkward. But the great thing about it is you won't get third party. Steamy will take shots at you, but you won't get third party. Okay, so it's a fairly even, like straight up mano y mano type of fight. You will have the 2 versus 2 or 1 versus 1 against that Yacht player. Or if there's 3 people landing there in solos, you'll have a 1 versus 1 versus 1. But that will be it. And you will never be surprised by people landing on top of you late. Nothing like that you would have in normal POIs. Just because it's so far secluded on the side of the map. What do I think of Lazy? Lazy is really good. Lazy is really, really good. Sometimes Steamy will third party, and it's easy third party because of the music. Sometimes they do, but I think that's actually kind of crazy for them because it's so far out that unless zone is there, I guess, then it's okay. I think people who go at you from Steamy are crazy. I think hopefully you should be done with your fight by the time that even comes in. And if you're not, then your fights are taking too long and you need to evaluate that rather than anything else. Weather station's good, but it can only support 2 people. I'd say if there's 3 people landing there, I don't want to land there. Unless I know that I will win that fight generally, but I think that's too many. Dirty Docks is not bad. Fight conditions at Dirty Docks are awkward though, because there's a lot of different like hiding spots. And there's also like only 1 or 2 really, really good power positions in Dirty Docks. So if you don't get those, it's like really uncomfortable to fight there, I think, as a solo at least. As a duo, you can actually make inroads to fight other things. So it's not bad. Holly Hedges, I don't like, but a lot of people do like because it's very much familiar. You kind of know the spots no matter what. So it's really easy to learn, but I don't think it's a spot that will win you tournaments. I don't think that if you are one of the best players, you should be, I think Holly Hedges is fine. It's just basically, I think there's better. Like Pleasant's better than that. Retail's better than that in terms of like spots that are the similar thing. But, What about the Blue Steel Bridge? I'm not sure which bridge you're talking about because there's a couple different ones. I'm thinking that's the one near Pleasant. The one near Pleasant's really good. Every other bridge, not so good. How about the island below Misty and Retail? Below Retail? I don't know about that one. I know below Misty, you're talking about Camp Cod is what we call it in the competitive scene. That one is really good. That's a great solo spot. That's where Mr. Savage won DreamHack and I am out of. Right? Very good. But again, that's one of those spots that if there's a lot of people up on the mountain, it becomes really bad. If there's a lot of people contesting it, it becomes really bad because rotating out of there is very hard. So if that fight gets dragged out, it's really awkward. But it's a good spot. The fight conditions are really nice because there's 2 distinct spots that will clash eventually, but they don't always have to. Disengaging is tough though, because again, those people on the mountain will be hungry. One of the problems that Savage had was people pushing down off of that mountain no matter what, right? And even in DreamHack. He had some fights that he ended up dying in where he was trying to get out and it would be too much. Is Misty good? Misty's great. You get a lot of fish opportunities and you get a lot of loot potential. Shark is good, man. The loot potential is good there, but fight conditions are hard. Fight conditions are probably, at the Shark, one of the worst out of everybody. If you aren't getting good drops, I don't know how much the jail update has changed things, but if you aren't getting good drops and you can't consistently get better drops than everyone else, then it's like really, really untenable. It's really, really hard to fight there. And if you're not used to storm fighting, you will have trouble at the shark. Because let me tell you, if you land shark, you're going to get storm fought. You're going to get storm fought. All right, guys. Hope that you guys enjoyed that. That's gonna be a wrap for me. I'll be back Tuesday around 1:30 Eastern, like I started today. And I will catch you on the flip. Peace, guys. Oh, I don't have an ending screen. Bye.